Welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely pumped you're tuning in today because honestly, we are tackling one of the most massive foundational shifts happening in digital marketing right now. If you've been keeping a pulse on how people actually find local businesses, you know the ground beneath us is totally shifting. We're moving at lightning speed from traditional search into this wild new era of AI-driven discovery, and I want to give you the exact blueprint to navigate it. By the end of this explainer, you are going to understand exactly what the algorithm demands in 2026 to secure absolute local dominance.
Okay, let's dive into this. Why are we talking about this right now? Because the stakes have literally never been higher. Just consider this absolutely staggering statistic. 76%. Right now, 76% of near-me searchers visit a physical business within 24 hours of making that search. You know, this isn't just casual, top-of-funnel browsing. This is a massive activation engine driving a $22.4 billion global market. If your business or your client's business isn't showing up when someone types in "near me," you are mathematically locking yourself out of revenue. It's as simple as that.
So to get you that visibility, here's our blueprint for today. We're going to start with the high-intent search reality, look at exactly how AI is disrupting local discovery, and then we'll literally deconstruct the 2026 algorithm. After that, we'll dive into trust signals, how to dodge major ranking threats and myths, and finally, I'll hand you a highly specific action playbook to run with.
Let's just jump right into our first critical pillar. Section 1, the high-intent search reality. We really need to wrap our heads around how local search completely bypasses the traditional marketing funnels we're all so used to.
The activation curve we're looking at here demonstrates this perfectly. Out of the 8.5 billion daily searches happening on Google, a whopping 46% of them carry local intent. These users aren't looking for broad research. Actually, scratch that. They don't want research at all. They want an immediate solution, which is exactly why 28% of these local queries result in a same-day purchase. They are at the very bottom of the funnel, credit card literally in hand, just deciding who to trust.
Now, of course, that intent varies depending on your industry. When you break down the volume, you see massive numbers for restaurants and healthcare, right? But look down at emergency services. The conversion thresholds there peak at a mind-blowing 68%. Why? It's all about immediate proximity needs. Think about it. If a pipe bursts in your house, you aren't doing a deep dive brand analysis. You are frantically calling the first highly rated local plumber that pops up. The more urgent the need, the higher the conversion rate spikes.
Which brings us to a major tension point in our narrative. Section 2, AI disrupts local discovery. The whole paradigm is shifting right under our feet, away from traditional scrolling and mapping.
I really want you to ask yourself this critical question. How are AI overviews actually changing discovery? You've definitely seen these AI summaries popping up at the very top of your own searches lately. But how does that new mechanic actually alter the flow of local traffic?
Well, here's the crucial point. 43% of local searches are now triggering these AI overviews. And yeah, this is causing a very real disruption. Specifically, we're seeing a 31% reduction in direct clicks to individual business websites. Users are just getting the answers they need directly on the search page. But there is a massive silver lining here. Where is that AI getting its information? 67% of these AI overviews are pulling their data directly from Google business profiles. So if you optimize your profile, you aren't losing out to AI, you are literally feeding the AI.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast in what it takes to actually rank. With traditional Maps Pack rankings, it still relies heavily on your primary Google Business Profile category and your physical proximity to the searcher. But then look at AI search visibility. The AI large language models are hunting for completely different signals. They want expert-curated best-of lists, they want unstructured citations, which basically means brand mentions in local news or niche blogs. In the AI era, those mentions are acting as the new inbound link. It's a total game changer.
So we know what the AI wants, but let's get right into the mechanical core of this explainer. Section 3, deconstructing the 2026 algorithm. What are the actual mathematical weights dictating your visibility today?
Well, here is the exact breakdown. Google Business Profile signals completely dominate the algorithm at 32%. That covers your categories, your keywords, and your proximity. Next up, on-page signals from your actual website make up 19%, and review signals sit right there at 16%. Just pause and think about that for a second. Nearly 1/3 of your entire ability to rank locally comes from a completely free profile provided by Google.
Let's see how this builds, because the data reveals what is arguably the biggest tragedy in local SEO right now. We just saw that the Google Business Profile is 32% of the algorithm. Yet, look at this neglect gap. 56% of profiles remain completely unoptimized. They're missing photos, they have inaccurate categories, or just zero descriptions. By neglecting this free digital storefront, these businesses are mathematically preventing their own local dominance. Meanwhile, the guys with fully optimized profiles, they're seeing a 41% surge in customer actions. It's a huge missed opportunity.
Now that we have the mechanical algorithms sorted out, let's talk about human psychology in Section 4, trust signals and conversion triggers, because these are the qualitative factors that actually win the click. I want to walk you through the brutal new rules of reviews, step by step. First, the baseline. 87% of consumers read local reviews. It's completely non-negotiable at this point. Second, the filter. Almost half of all consumers demand a strict 4.0 star minimum to even consider a business. If you're sitting at a 3.9, you simply don't exist to them. And finally, the most punishing rule of all, the recency rule. 73% of consumers view reviews older than 3 months as entirely irrelevant. So having 500 glowing reviews from 2019 means absolutely nothing if your last review was 6 months ago. Because let's face it, in internet years, 2019 is ancient history.
And where should you be focusing your energy to get those fresh reviews? The data makes it undeniably clear. Google is the absolute undisputed king at 81% importance. Yes, Yelp and Facebook are hovering around 50%, and sure, they matter for comprehensive trust, but your continuous 3-month review velocity strategy, that needs to be hyper-focused on Google.
Now, winning the Maps pack is great, but to truly own your market, you need to dominate the periphery, meaning all the space around that map. For organic content, the #1 driver is having a dedicated, hyper-specific page for every single service you offer. In fact, 83% of the top organic results do exactly this. Plus, in highly competitive markets like legal or home services, you absolutely have to master local services ads, or LSAs. These sit at the very top of the page, and they're driven heavily by your review volume, recency, and how insanely fast you respond to leads.
But as you build out this whole strategy, there are hidden landmines you got to watch out for. Welcome to Section 5, Navigating Threats in SEO Myths. Because a single mistake here can ruin your entire 2026 strategy.
You really need to understand this threat matrix. We've got accidental errors that cause ranking penalties, things like mismatched primary categories or accidentally sharing an address with a competitor. They'll drop your rank, sure, but they are fixable. But then we have the ban hammer, total suspensions. If you try to outsmart Google by running your business profile from a P.O. box or UPS store, you are playing with fire. It is literally the highest risk trigger for a total profile takedown. Just don't do it.
And speaking of playing with fire, let's save you some wasted budget right now. These are the definitively busted myths of 2026. Please stop geotagging your photos before uploading them. It scores dead last in algorithmic impact and is a pure placebo. Also, stop keyword stuffing your responses to customer reviews. It's this super common tactic you see everywhere, but the reality is it has absolutely zero measurable impact on the 2026 ranking algorithm. Spend that time actually getting new reviews instead. It's a way better use of your energy.
All right, we've covered the shifts, the algorithm, the trust signals, and the threats. Let's bring this all together into Section 6, your 2026 action playbook. I've broken this down specifically based on who you are and what you do.
If you are a business owner watching this, your mandate is the foundation. First, you must completely and exhaustively optimize your Google business profile. Fill out every single category, update your hours perfectly, add fresh photos, the whole shebang. Second, you have to operationalize your review collection. You cannot just rely on bulk reviews from a campaign you ran 2 years ago. You've got to build a system into your daily business operations that consistently brings in new reviews to satisfy that 3-month recency velocity.
Now, if you are a marketer, your mandate is AI adaptation. You need to aggressively pursue placements on expert-curated, best-of lists in your local city. Start reaching out to local bloggers, news outlets, and niche industry publications to generate those unstructured citations. Because remember, you are no longer just optimizing for Google's traditional search crawler. You are literally feeding unstructured brand mentions to large language models so they confidently recommend your client in those new AI overviews.
And finally, for the SEO pros out there, your playbook is all about the technical edge. You need to get into the architecture of the site and deploy hyper-specific, dedicated pages for every location and every individual service. That is your absolute #1 organic lever right now. On top of that, you need to meticulously manage local services ads mechanics.
It's not just about bidding anymore, it's about making sure your lead response times are basically instantaneous to keep that LSA algorithm happy.
I want to leave you with this defining thought to wrap things up. Exposure curve modeling shows AI will change the interface, but trust, proximity, and prominence remain the immutable laws of local search. Look, the way a user screen looks is changing drastically with AI overviews. But why they choose you? Because you're near them, because other people trust you, and because you clearly state what you do, that will never, ever change. So the big question is, how will you implement these immutable laws into your own 2026 strategy to capture your share of that $22.4 billion market? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Go get those profiles optimized, and I'll catch you on the next one.